Hello, this is Susan Hintz-Epstein, aka Susan of the North, with this week's overview for Rune of the Day. You can access my Rune of the Day through runeoftheday.com, and that will take you to this YouTube channel if you found me in a different way. I'm also accessible at runeclasses.com and through nornerscorner.com. The rune I've drawn for the 25th of August, Sunday, is the rune Ior. This is the river serpent, and this rune has great elemental energy. I associate it with Jormungand, the world serpent, whom Odin cast into the ocean around Midgard, where he occupies the ocean. But he is representative of so many things throughout history and mythology, not just one orientation of mythology, but many. The serpent is regeneration. He is healing. He is not the boogeyman that the myth of Genesis makes him out to be. Let's make no mistake, no matter what we were taught, Genesis is a myth. It's the creation myth of the Jewish people. There are other creation myths that were just as valid to different peoples and different times. Back to the rune reading. Ior is the river serpent. Is regeneration. He is also the seed of sexual energy, but more than that. Let's just maybe more comfortable to call it chi, that life force energy that is both sexual energy and emotional and feeling. It's correlated. They're not quite the same thing, but they're related. And the river is like our emotions. Our emotions are always flowing from one mood, one thought to another. And being that the seed of chi in us can be meditated upon, it can be fed, it can be trained through our will, through meditation, to evolve in us a more permanent astral body that will last after we die. And it can be trained to far more than that. It is like a soul energy. It is, maybe by some people related to the seed of the soul. It is also a temptation energy because it is the choices we make between the two forces in us, the force towards negativity or the force towards positivity. And because the negativity is so more closely correlated with our survival mechanism, it's often the predominant one, but it's the other one that feeds our higher mind. It's our choices for morality. It's our choices for integrity. And it all arises from the seat of desire. So I will leave you with this thought for this rune. I've said a lot on it, but there is a lot to this rune. In the Anglo-Saxon Futhark, this is the shape this rune takes, but it is also in the Elder Futhark another form for Hagalaz, the seed crystal, which brings about change and new opportunities. So there's so much to this rune. Perhaps I need to devote an entire, talk to it. But for tonight, this is the rune for for Sunday, August 25th. So perhaps it would be a good day to think about where you're at personally, where your emotions are flowing, what has got you, what do you desire, what do you want of spiritual evolution? Do you even want spiritual evolution? There's just so much to think about regarding Ior. The rune for the 26th is Lagouge. This too is related to the river. This is the rune of flow, of water. And if we watch the element of water, it always flows downhill. It takes the shape of its container, maybe echoing yesterday's theme of Ior. The container for our emotion can be considered our thoughts. What are we thinking? Our thoughts are often born out of things we have felt, our reaction to things that we have experienced. So, if you are doing the hard work of examining your thoughts and your feelings, when this comes up, Lagouge, you might consider looking at what thoughts you have about things and asking yourself the question, are they serving you? Or are they conditioned thoughts that belong more appropriately to survival adaptation that you formed as a child? And maybe now is a time to let go of it. You can release it downhill to the flow of water, to the next form. That is Lagouge for Monday, the 26th. For the 27th, I have drawn the rune year. I'm not always sure how to pronounce these. The spelling on this is YR, and it has come up reversed. When it's upright, this is the rune of the archer. It is the rune of the artist. Why? Because they both have the strong ability to concentrate and focus upon a task. So, given the two runes that we had earlier in the week, Ior and Lagouge, maybe there are some motions running amok that are keeping you from the capacity to focus or to concentrate. That is the rune for Tuesday, the 27th. And if I hesitate a little bit, just know it's because I'm copying the rune down in my calendar, because I like to go into the week and see how the day plays out. And according to the runes that I have drawn, the rune that I have drawn now, this is Halk. And Halk is the rune of absolute happiness. But today, for the 28th Wednesday, it has come up reversed. So, whatever has disrupted the capacity for concentration and focus on Tuesday, the 27th, there's not a lot of happiness right now. To catch your mood when it's down, and this is something I've been working on myself for the last 2 years because I am now a widow of about 18 or 19 months. And I have been struggling to rise above grief, and I'm finally getting there. And when I'm really down, it helps me to step into the emotion and intensify it. And generally, it satisfies its need for recognition and leaves me until another time. So, if that's a practice that will help you turn around a negative mood, I know that sometimes it doesn't help, but for a regular situation, when I'm reading these things and my mind goes off into so many possibilities, and I know that I'm, talking to more than one person in my audience, and, my thought is going to, if you're chronically depressed, this could relate to you too. And I'm not an advocate of going off depression pills if you need them. You know, I had a friend who was told to do that by an alternative healer, and she just spent 6 months in bed. She couldn't function. So sometimes medication is needed, but I'm just talking about facing a regular emotion and letting that regular emotion have its way, recognizing it in yourself, and going through my grief as I did. I learned, and I'm happy to say that I learned that the other face of grief is grace. Even though the person is no longer in my life is so much better from the time I had with that person. So a lot of times now I can turn it around. So that's just my testimony. However this affects you on Wednesday, It would be interesting to hear in the comments. But Wednesday, the 28th, is Hulk reversed. For Thursday, the 29th, we have the rune Menage. This is a good one. This is the rune, depending on which author you're reading, on how to define these things. And I've read many over the years. I've been doing this just to see and get various interpretations. This is the rune of the self. If you're reading Ralph Blum, it's the rune of humanity. If you're reading Kenneth Meadows or most interpreters on this, Menage is, it's like if I took half of this, I would have the rune Wunyo, and this is the rune for joy. So it's like a mirror image. You know, when we spend time with other people whom we truly care for, there's a lot of joy in that. And there is also the principle that we see in other people what we like, and we project onto other people what we don't like in ourselves. So if we learn to look at this rune in relationship to another person as a mirror, and I think I first came across the image of a smoking mirror in the Incan mythology. But it's true, you know, if I look into someone else's eyes, the mirror of their soul will reflect to me my own, especially if we're in a love affair or just good friends. It's such a beautiful way to be with another person, to knowing that what's good in them and what's not so good in them, but you're both able to accept each other for who you are as individuals. And this is, as the rune of humanity, in these times we are living through, this is my prayer, that we will find more cause for joy and acceptance of one another despite our differences than we will division and argument and the stupidity of ignorance. You know, I use that term stupid purposefully because I know people who insist upon maintaining their ignorance, and I have no other word for it. So this is the rune of humanity. This is for Thursday, the 29th. It can mean partnership. It can mean in a marriage. It can also mean a partnership in business or just a friendship. A good rune to draw after yesterday's unhappy one. For Friday, the 30th, digging deep in the rune pouch now, and up comes the rune El Hajj. El Hajj is like the crown of the tree. It's like the crown of horns upon the elk. It's a rune of higher consciousness. It's a rune of awakening. It's a rune of higher mind. And maybe you see the similarity to Hulk. It's not quite the same thing. Hulk is like the Holy Grail. This is like the crown of the world tree or the tree of life. It's what we're reaching for, what we're striving for as conscious being. If you are a proponent of that age-old philosophical adage, know thyself, this is a good rune to have in your arsenal. That is El Hajj, and that is for Friday, August 30th. And the final rune for August, and for this last week of August, on the 31st, I feel like I should have a drum roll here going on, is Isa. Isa is a rune of standstill. It's a rune of concentration. It's a rune of energy condensing. The mind can be concentrated on a task, which is a good proponent, seeing as how we had year reversed on Tuesday and there was no concentration. This is also a good rune for the self. It means ice. Isa means ice, and ice is reflective. You know, the reflective qualities that we talked about in mirrored in our friendships, in our relationships, come back to us. Sometimes it's a good rune to release deep memories, deep-seated repressed memories, if you have time and the inclination to go through and see what there was in the process. Or sometimes it's just a good day to rest, not do anything. Being a Saturday, good day for a standstill. Good day to rest, if you've been taking the kids out to get school clothing and things, and just dealing with the end of summer activities that happen, coming back from or going on vacation. It's a good day for a rest. So I'm going to call this a day of rest. This is Susan of the North, aka Susan Hintz-Epstein. And I would like to invite you to subscribe to this channel. And if you have time, check out my Rune blog, runeclasses.com. And we'll see you next week. Have a blessed one.